Why did you make Splashdash?
What inspired me to create Splashdash was the difficulty pulling useful marketing data in one place at an ad hoc level. Previously, I would have to log into multiple different platforms to gather this information. And this was really annoying, especially when I had to meet with clients. As we started to scale, there was more people to meet with. And so utilizing multiple tabs at the same time was very difficult for me. And I really was pulling the same level of information each and every time. So Splashdash's design ultimately is to allow you to combine all of that into one place. Does that answer that question? I don't really know how to answer that.
What problems is Splashdash looking to solve?
The core problem I wanted to solve for agencies and marketing professionals is I wanted to help them close more deals without spending a ton of time doing research of what's actually going to work for their client. So when I'm selling a customer, there's a lot of key components that I need access to in order to convince that customer to utilize my service. It's also going to allow them to simulate performance in their exact local market, which every local market is different. Every market has different population, different competition, different level of times in business, different advertising spends. So we need to be able to simulate effectively results for that individual's marketplace.
How do you prioritize features?
So upon launch, obviously we have a lot of ideas and direction into which the product's going, but to prioritize what we think is important, we've talked to a lot of beta users and found, what they think would be useful for their day-to-day workflow. And then from there, we've looked at what our agency finds important and then nailed those down into, certain actions or updates to the features that we already have. So
how has beta testing feedback helped you?
So our beta users have been providing feedback within the tool for the past month and a half now. And really we've been taking what they say into consideration on what actions we are adding and also what we're changing. The next phase of product development will be implementing those changes based on what they're saying and what we kind of see as things we can improve upon. So it's been super, super helpful. And if you're a beta user right now, please keep providing feedback because it's only going to make the tool more useful.
What has been your biggest challenge with Splashdash?
The main challenge that we face when creating Splashdash is cost. It's really not an easy tool to build because none of this data is free. So for us to be able to provide it to the user at a reasonable cost is risky. So what we did was we utilized our connections at our agency to get access to this data so the user doesn't need to have access to it themselves. And so after cost, another challenge that we had is data visualization. Now we have all of this information, what's the best way to present it to our users? As Lauren mentioned, asking for feedback from our users is critical on how they want it presented. So when we first create an action, we kind of just have to figure out what they think is going to be the most useful. So using that data to present it has been a challenge.
How have you made Splashdash so that it is easy to use?
So when building Splashdash, we made sure the tool is very simple to use and easy to understand so that there's not a big learning curve for our users. The interface is very simple and easy to navigate, and there's only a few inputs that a user has to put in to get their report.
Have you had any difficulties scaling Splashdash as more users use it?
The biggest challenge in scaling Splashdash during our initial development was figuring out how users are going to actually utilize the platform. Our credit-based system was definitely something we worked really hard to figure out, and it's going to make it open and accessible for anyone that wants to utilize Splashdash. So the financials are actually really difficult with this product because it is so easy for a customer and a user to do business with us, and that's our goal. But figuring out how much credits does each action consume, that has been something that has been difficult and we are still working on, and that is going to be a problem that scales as users use the platform more.
What has been your biggest obstacle in developing Splashdash?
I don't think there's been, too many obstacles. I will say, to our surprise, a lot of people interested in the tool are actually international. So that's definitely something we're taking into consideration when the tool's released, trying to get more data points that are international rather than, just in the United States.
That was a great answer. I wasn't even thinking about that because Brazil is a huge market for us.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of.
How do you balance adding new features while keeping Splashdash simple?
The easiest way to balance adding new features and keeping simplicity is by listening to the user. Our team has done an amazing job creating a beta testing system that allows our users to voice their feedback and their concerns, and that's really going to shape the features that we create in the near future. Again, Splashdash is going to be a really simple ad hoc solution for someone doing sales and account management and digital marketing for local, and so it's important that we listen to those people's problems and prioritize their features first.
What would you say is going to be your biggest milestone with Splashdash?
The ideal milestone is our first paying user, which is going to be a celebration. But I also really am a user of the product myself. So one of the big milestones for me personally is closing new deals with it, presenting it to customers, customers understanding what it is, and then actually generating revenue for our agency using Splashdash. That's a milestone that we're hitting every day, and I can't wait to share that with our users as well. But I think Lauren would agree, and everyone else would agree, that our first paying user is our biggest milestone right now.
Then this next one, you don't have to do that one.
How do you manage thinking short-term for the product versus thinking long-term?
The way we balance short-term goals with long-term strategies is prioritizing. Unfortunately, I'm a workaholic, and so what that means is I am obsessed with working on this 24/7, and that means that I'm ultimately trying to make it usable as fast as possible in the short term for the people that are already using it. Long term, it's all about dreaming, it's all about envisioning, it's all about coming up with features that you would show to your team and they would scratch their heads and not necessarily know how to accomplish it, but that's okay because it's a long term. But for short term, we're trying to satisfy the needs of the existing 20 to 30 people that are currently using the platform. Long-term vision, it's figuring out how can we get this in front of millions of people and what are they going to want to use it for.
How are you making sure you are staying ahead of the curve to develop the best features for Splashdash?
So as a team, that's part of our job, is staying up to date with new technologies and staying, relevant in the marketing world. And the cool thing about Splashdash is we're working with our agency Develomark, so we really are intertwined within the digital marketing space, which, in turn helps our tool because we know what new technologies are erupting, what people find important, what marketing strategies are working for, this quarter versus the next. So we're really at an advantage in that way.
What industries is Splashdash most focused on and why?
One of the industries or markets that I'm looking to expand into that I'm always excited about is local. My dad started a local painting business when he moved to the United States, and I've always been obsessed with the idea of marketing in a hyper-localized area. And that's where Splashdash is going to be extremely useful, is understanding all of the zip codes in the United States, understanding all of the population in that area, the best way to message to them, how to showcase the competition, what you need to do to beat the competition. So the industry that I'm most focused on is local service-based agencies serving local clients.
What advice would you have to similar startups who are looking to accomplish a similar product?
Hold on. So to other startups or people developing an AI product, I would say the biggest lesson we've learned from the past few months is to take your time. These, developing a software, it's way more in depth than I guess I would have thought, and it takes a lot of patience and being very detail oriented to make sure that the users are in the end happy. So just being okay that things are gonna take time to get a quality product.